Should be interesting to see how many people we can have join us, since we're dead in the middle of East Coast church time. As Carl Lentz calls it, the most segregated hour in the world. I guess at Hillsongs they have like a blacks only section and a whites only section. I've never personally seen that. How do I help, Kathy? I would be interested to hear that. Hey, Moses, nice to see you. Oh, that's who's going to bail me out. Is South Africa and Nigeria. I'm not skipping church. I'm in a different time zone, just so you know, where it's very, very early. What's up, Germany? Jürgen, nice to see you. All right, when we hit 85, I'll get going. Hey, Emma. Morning, Pam. Thanks, Kathy. Good to hear it. Hey, Sean. What's up, South Africa? Cheryl, good to see you. All right, I'm going to tell you the funniest thing I've ever seen in about 30 seconds. And a couple of more news items. I'm looking forward to being down there myself, Pam. Next place I'm at is just outside of Houston, Texas. Spring, Texas. Middle of September. Would love to have you join me. All right. I don't know if that's true or not, Herman, but I grabbed it today. All right. Before I get to the funniest thing I've ever seen. If you're worried about mandatory vaccines, I'm going to hit four things, and then I'm going to make a special announcement. If you're worried about mandatory vaccines, I can tell you that as of today, in the United States, now if you're in Australia or India, it could be a different story. But in the United States, mandatory vaccines, I think, are about officially killed. And if you've been watching my other broadcasts, I told you why. But then now, Kamala Harris gave it the kill shot. Because they asked Kamala Harris about the vaccine and if she would get it. And she said, I would be very wary of anything that Trump has had a hand in. So basically she said she wouldn't get it. She might have outright said that she wouldn't get it. Oh, hey, Pito. I would tell you to tell Christopher I said hi, but he wouldn't care. He doesn't care when I personally tell him hello in his face. He looks the other way. I remember when everybody got upset about Trump promoting the vaccine, because I would say most Christians are anti-vaccine. But really, you should be thankful that Trump was pro-vaccine. Morning, Sarah. Because if Trump was anti-vaccine, we probably would have a push for mandatory vaccines. Because Trump is behind Operation Warp Speed and wanting to roll out the vaccine as fast as possible, Kamala Harris said, I don't want anything to do with it. And basically, the people who would want to push mandatory vaccines to spite Trump are against vaccines now. So, I mean, you have the people who are against vaccines, or against, and especially against a rushed-out COVID vaccine. And now, to spite Trump, the people who would normally be for population control and forced vaccination are now against it. So you can sleep easy. Morning, Miguel. Then there was a Reuters article this morning that I read that none of the vaccine candidates have been able to hit 50% efficacy, which is like the bare minimum. And so they're having to start from scratch. So Reuters is reporting that the earliest you can expect a vaccine is, it's looking like March 2021. Now, by March 2021, will COVID be over? I just drove past a COVID drive-through testing here in the state I'm at. It's empty. Obviously, it could be because it's early. And there was one car when I drove by yesterday, and it wasn't early. The state I'm in has the lowest percentage of COVID patients that it's had at any point in the pandemic, where are hospitals overflowing? You know, you only have reports of cases. You have reports of all these universities that I'm going to get to that have had like a blow up of cases. Not one of those people have had to go to the hospital. Not aren't in the hospital or not in the ICU. None of them ever had to go to the hospital. Hey Carla, nice to see you. Hey Ted Milton. So, that's good news. Like the Italian epidemiologist said, I can't remember his name, it was a while back. He said it like in May. It was also on a Sunday. He said the biggest problem with developing the vaccine is by the time it appears the virus is burning itself out, and by the time we get a vaccine ready, it won't be needed. That's looking like the plan. Alicia said, can you share your thoughts about Democrat Party plans for Biden not to concede the election? That would all be speculation at this point. You know, how the election is shaping up with the push for mail-in balloting is the plan is for it to be a contested election where, you know, the problem with mail-in balloting is going to be if it runs the way they want it to run. You're not going to be able to declare a winner on November 4th. Or, like, Trump will be ahead, and then once they count the mail-in ballots, Trump will lose, which will cause people to freak out. Because what's every Trump supporter going to assume if Trump is ahead at the end of election night from the polling places, and then 2 days later they say he lost? Everybody's going to assume it was rigged, whether it was rigged or not, and there's going to be a problem. So, but people probably think I'm crazy for saying this. What if Trump won by such a big margin? Like, if you're going to fix an election, you can fix it maybe by like 2 percentage points. A lot of the states that are real heavy on mail-in balloting, that would be likely to commit fraud, are already states that Trump's probably not going to win. So, like Arizona just shot down the mail-in ballot proposal, which would have been like a swing state. So you have to remember, none of that may ever come into play, because what if Trump won by such a wide margin that the mail-in ballots wouldn't even matter at that point? Am I saying that's going to happen? I'm not saying it's going to happen. If Trump won the election with 8% black support, and Rasmussen yesterday, 2 days ago, Rasmussen had him at 45% black support. Basically, Antifa and Black Lives Matter are like campaigning for Trump. The more they do their thing, the more black voters are heavy shifting to a pro-police, pro-law and order candidate, because of demographically, the black community is most affected by the riots of anybody. So there's my thoughts on that. Which those are extra thoughts because I didn't have them in my notes. It's true, Carla. Where am I? I'm in my car drinking coffee. A delicious 6-shot espresso with caramel. It's a drink called the IV. Speaking of people campaigning for Trump in reverse, there's an LGBTQ news organization called Pink News. All one word. And Pink News tweeted yesterday a reminder that I'm basically quoting, I might be off by a word or two. A reminder that Republican lawmakers want to ban child drag shows. So I guess from their perspective, they thought if they tweeted a reminder that Republicans are looking to ban child drag queen shows, that would cause a mass outrage in the country, and then everybody would make sure to not vote for Republicans. But judging from the comments underneath, you would almost have to wonder if Pink News wasn't run by deep state Republicans to try to get people to not be Democrats anymore. Because the comments were like, I used to be a Democrat, and people like you are why I'm not a Democrat anymore. I don't think, maybe if you only hang around people who are pro-child drag queens, you think like America likes that, And I think that's the main problem the Democrat Party has, is they don't understand America. I think that, in my opinion, the Democrat Party understands New York City and Los Angeles and San Francisco, but they don't understand where America's at. You know, if I had to ask you who the top selling comedian is of all time, you'd probably think it was Jerry Seinfeld or some snarky, sarcastic comedian. You know, it's Larry the Cable Guy. And then, who has the top watched comedy cable special of all time? Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld? No. Jeff Dunham with his puppets. That's America. America is, you know, you drive to your Walmart parking lot and watch people walking into shop. That's America. So, Pink News recruiting for the Republican Party in advance, I'm guessing. I mean, recruiting for the Republican Party in reverse. Number 3, I thought this was interesting. That colleges, like the University of Arizona, are hiring private security to patrol the campuses and make sure that everyone's social distancing and there's no parties and nobody's violating any of the CDC guidelines. And they've already caught students who are then forced to quarantine either in their dorm room or in a special dorm and not go out. So, universities in America have essentially turned into a prison that you pay $36,000 a semester or a year or wherever you go to be incarcerated. There's several universities and colleges that you're not allowed out of your room except to go to class. And then you have to go straight back to your room, and if you're caught not doing that, you're sent home and your money's not refunded, or you're imprisoned or forced to quarantine, whatever you want to call it. If this doesn't finish off, you know, I do think there's going to be several things that are lasting effects coming out of COVID. And I think one of them is going to be that the public education system takes a, you know, the automatic that you send your kids to school, grade school, middle school, high school, tell them to get good grades so they can get into a good college. I think that's over. I think people are going to, oh, you know what? I'm going to add another news item that I didn't get to cover. They covered it on Check the News, but I didn't get to talk about it. So colleges are now prisons you pay to attend. And I think that's going to have a, welcome from Trinidad. I think that's going to have a major effect long term. The U-Haul prices. To rent a U-Haul to go from Florida to New York is like $300. To rent a U-Haul to go from New York to Florida, to move from New York to Florida, is closer to $3,000. To rent a U-Haul to go from Arizona to California, Phoenix to Sacramento, is like $262. And to rent a U-Haul to go from Sacramento to Arizona is again closer to $3,000. What does that tell you about, you know, if you understand supply and demand economics, just like, and I understand it like a little, that lets you know that no one is moving from Florida to New York or from Arizona to California. And there's so many people wanting to get out of California and New York to a free state that they've jacked the U-Haul prices up about as high as you can jack them up, and people are still paying it. Saudi said, Jonathan, do you think that we'll have to show proof of testing for COVID to fly international as time goes on, or how long before you think international flights open more? You know, you already have to show proof for a yellow fever shot a lot of places, so again, this is all assuming they come out with a successful vaccine. So yeah, that exists, but then you, just like with yellow fever, you have religious exemption, medical exemption. And then there could be places that waive where you can't, there is no religious exemption or medical exemption, and then you wouldn't be able to go to those countries if you refuse to take the vaccine. That's possible, but I don't think it's going to be it's going to be like a wide-scale thing. Personally, the virus is about died out. All you hear about are cases. The deaths are about half old deaths from I don't know. I don't want to get into all that. The hospitals are at their lowest they've had of COVID patients. You know, it's like in college. You had like 11,000 new cases in college, and not one person had to go to the hospital. So the virus is not the same as it was in March and April and May, where it was taking people out. It's not like that anymore. And it's going to continue to get weaker. Viruses mutate weaker, not stronger. I just moved to Austria last month from the U.S. Crazy. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but congratulations. Okay, finally what I baited you in here with, which is the funniest thing I've ever seen. We're going to play this on Check the News tonight. But if you've not seen it, somebody can help me in the comments, but Trump is sitting at his big desk in the Oval Office, and then there's like a little table next to Trump where Trump helped to negotiate a deal between Serbia and Kosovo, which they were fighting when I was in 9th grade. Slobodan Milosevic and all that. So they've never had peace since then. And then I think there's a high percentage of Muslims in both countries, which factors into the story. So does anybody know... Oh, missionaries to Austria. Congratulations. So does anybody know who... Who was the guy sitting next to Trump at that little desk? Was he like the ambassador for Kosovo, or the president of Kosovo, or was he the president of Serbia, or the ambassador for Serbia? Has anybody seen the clip I'm talking about? I'm guessing it's Serbia. I could be wrong. But Trump's announcing that they signed the paper to like normalize relations, right? Well, I guess there's a thing in the Art of the Deal book where Trump says, get someone to sign the contract without knowing what's in the contract, then publicly praise them for something that they didn't know they signed. So Trump has this guy sitting next to him that's in a largely Muslim country and says, also, they've agreed to move their embassy from in Israel to Jerusalem by July of next year. And the guy's eyes get big. Like, you can tell he doesn't know he agreed to that. And he turns in the papers as fast as he can and sees it and then goes like this while Trump's talking. And that guy, Richard Grenell, that huge, what is he? He's a head of security. He has a national security position, was an ambassador to Germany, or might still be the ambassador to Germany. He's watching him look at the papers, smirking the whole time. Because he knew that guy didn't know it was in there when he signed it. And then when he's watching him panic-stricken looking for it, I mean, I don't know whether that'll cost that guy his life or what, to go back and tell your Muslim country that you work for that you have to move the embassy to Jerusalem, which is the recognition that Israel's a Jewish state. You have to see the video. If you've not seen the video and you can't find it, we're going to play it on Check the News tonight. But it basically goes like this. The guy's sitting real calm next to Trump. And Trump goes, and also, it's great. They've agreed to move their embassy to Jerusalem by July of next year. And the guy's eyes, honest to God, his eyes get big. And he grabs the paper and starts flipping through it. Then you can tell he sees it. And he literally, like a bad actor, goes like he's going to get shot. So it's worth seeing. If you haven't seen it, you're going to get to see it on Check the News tonight. Now, for the, I don't know whether I put important announcement or special announcement, but I'll be back in the studio Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And from 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. East Coast time, New York City time in the United States, I'm going to do 50 uncommon ministry keys. you know how I feel about ministry. You know, it's like people don't really tell you much practical information. Fortunately for me, my grandfather was a minister, and then my dad and his 3 brothers. So I was around it my whole life, and I got to hear things from seasoned people that I don't think the majority of people get to hear, that are very helpful. So I'm going to take one day on financial increase. I'm going to take another day on how to handle the Word of God and preach correctly, and then I'm going to take another day and just do 20 miscellaneous ministry keys that instead of you having to figure them out 35 or 40 years down the road, we'll just talk about them. And I believe those 3 days will be a major help to anybody that takes the time to join me. Hey, Mom, what time is it where you're at? Just before 11 o'clock. I love you, Mom. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. New York City time. We're in talks to put Check the News on regular television for October for the election, which I wanted to do. I want to do a month of election coverage and news where people can see it leading up to the election. So if you'd like to help, if you enjoy Check the News and want to help us bother more people with it, don't you think it would be good for there to be like correct news going out on television every night, 11:30 to 12:30? I think it would help the country, because you can see they're already launching all kinds of false stories, so there needs to be something to counter it. So I'm challenging, if there's 20 people that God would speak to your heart to sow $1,000 today, I'm going to send you, I haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but for the 20 people that help us expand Check the News by sowing that way, I'm going to send you the best thank you gift we've ever sent out, something we've never sent out before. So you can do #donate on Facebook. Hey, Brad, and Pastor Brad in South Africa. Hey, Courtney in Massachusetts. You can do #donate on Facebook. You can do $RTGive on Cash App. Happy birthday, Kimberly. And then you can also go to revivaltoday.com and click Give Now. So to say thank you for standing with us to get that out, I'm going to send you something super nice as a thank you. Yet to be determined. So I'll say thank you in advance. I'll give you a little time to give if you'd like. Then I'll leave you alone. Check the News tonight with Megalis. I should be back in studio tomorrow night to do Check the News for the entire week. And then it's off to Texas. Right outside of Houston, Texas. What's up, Trenton, New Jersey? Any questions? Thank you for giving on YouTube. Thanks for giving on Periscope. I think that's it. Share the video, lose a friend, and I'll see you soon, Lord willing. Love you guys. God bless you.